right, of this committee. So sitting in for Erica Berner, who's having dental issues apparently. Sorry, Erica. Hope she feels better soon. So I called the meeting to order at 7:03. And we'll do introductions, starting at the table. Larry, you go first.
Larry Purcell, Mendon.
Robert Gibbs, Hubbardton.
Ann Reed, Pittsburgh.
Jim Half, Kelly did select board member.
Dick Horner, Proctor.
Drea Stoddard, Danby. Chris McKay, Castleton.
Jack Schneider, Brandon.
Leona Minard, West Rutland. Laura Black, Shrewsbury.
Devin Neary, Executive Director.
Abby Bradish, Chittenden.
Lori Wilson, Chittenden.
Mary Kay Skagwa, staff.
And then online, we've got Barbara Thompson from Sudbury. Hey, Barbara. Heather Thomas from Wells. Good to see you, Heather. Jessica Metcalf from Mount Holly. Judy Gilmore, Tinmouth. Lyle Jepson from the Chamber and Economic Development of the Rutland region. No need of a short abbreviation there. Michael Dunges, Rutland City. Sarah Pelkey, Pulteney, Will Austin, Killington. Just want to say a welcome to Ann Reed. She's official interim town manager for Pittsburgh and new to our board. And then two future board members from Chittenden. We have not had a rep from Chittenden in quite some time. Lori and Abby, thank you and welcome.
Great. On the agenda is to approve the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for today, March 18th?
Motion to approve.
All in second, thank you. Second, Leona. Very good motion. All in favor to approve the agenda, please.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. As Erica would say. Remember everyone's names. Okay, hopefully everyone's had a chance to take a look at the February 18th minutes. And are there any questions, need for changes, or can I have a motion to approve the February 18th minutes?
So moved.
Thank you, Bob. Is there a second? Second, thank you.
Drea.
Drea. Thank you, Drea. All in favor to approve the February 18th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, the ayes have it. Moving on, open to the public. Does anyone from the public want to speak now? We do ex officio later, right?
Yep.
So guess we're all set. So we'll move on to next item. We're making time here, so.
Yeah, we're doing well.
The January 2025 financial report. I know who's up for that.
Yeah, I did provide that. So looking at the January 2025 financials, the P&L reflects a net income of roughly $99,000. You've heard some of these updates in the past, but I'll go over the highlights. The high net income is primarily due to capturing the third quarter ACCD quarter invoice in December. That invoice is roughly $161,000. So looking at the revenues and expenses, on the revenue side, line 402, if you just, for the new folks on the P&L, I just go down and highlight in order, and I call it out by line item number. So line 402, local income is high. Towns have been invoiced their FY25 dues, and all but one town has paid. So just waiting on one last town. So thank you to all of our towns for getting their dues in. Line 403, state income is high. As I just mentioned, we've captured that third quarter ACCD invoice. Line 403.5, Vermont Department of Environmental Conservation, that is low, or yes, that is low. We reported this in the past. This is due to a lot of projects being in the development phase versus the construction phase. Line 403A, state income non-permanent, this is high. This revenue is for neighborhood development area planning grant agreement. And we're following the terms, the invoicing terms of the agreement. So we're invoicing based on percentages of the agreement versus the actual expenses. So it's just billed out a little bit differently. Line 407, US Department of Energy. There's no activity as we're still waiting on the EECBG grant. Line 417, US Department of Labor. This is low. You'll be able to see the revenue begin to increase. We have a lot of staff time being devoted to this agreement. Let's see, so line 421, this was not budgeted. It captures, I talked about this during the last couple of meetings. It captures the credit card points income and will be further explained on the expense side. Okay. So looking at the expenses, line 523, audit accounting is high. We've paid for RRPC's FY24 audit in full. And just going down the line here. Line 535, marketing and sponsorship is high. That's due to participating in the Rutland Feud.
You're welcome, Lyle.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
Line 537, town and organizational support is high. And again, I just spoke about the credit card points that were converted to cash. So the intent while updating the January budget, we intended to apply those revenues to this line, which will offset the expense, but we actually have to shift that revenue up to miscellaneous revenue on the revenue side. Line 550, rent and office improvements is high, as there's 8 rent payments already captured in the system. And again, that's of January 31st. So we're a little bit ahead of schedule. Line 560, insurance is high as RRPC's insurance has been paid in full. Looking at the accounts receivable on the balance sheet as of January 31st, accounts receivable total roughly $468,000. This includes almost $15,000 that was due from the QUISP account to the RRPC operating account. As of actually today, accounts receivable totals roughly $112,000. So you can see that we've had a lot of revenue come in February and March. And I just want to note that the QUISP account has fully reimbursed the operating account. And that is my report, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Any questions for Mary Kay? No? Moving on, next item is Executive Director's Report. Devin?
I guess I'll take that on. So first things first, we are back by popular demand. We're having another regional select board meetup. The first was a really great success that was held in January at West Rutland Town Hall. We had 20 select board members from 13 towns, and that was co-sponsored by the RPC and VLCT. We talked about everything from dog permits all the way to public wastewater and everything in between. And from that conversation, it was incredible to hear how many adjoining town select board members had never met each other. So the first half of that was just that, giving them an opportunity to rub elbows and eat pizza together and talk about issues and opportunities in their towns. You know, be careful what you wish for. After that meeting, they said, hey, Devin, when you do this quarterly? So well, that's what we're doing. The next one is going to be in your town, Liz, at the new Castleton Recreation Center. That's the former village school. That'll be on Thursday. I think it's Wednesday, maybe April 9th. It's April 9th, either day. That's the day. And we are going to be focused primarily on Act 181 and shared services. So last I checked, there's already 10 select board members signed up. Please let your towns know if they're unaware, especially new select board members, of which there are several in the region. This is a great opportunity to just get out of town and hear about other opportunities going on. So you've been listening to me talk about this a lot, and that's our regional draft future land use map. This is going to correspond with our update of the regional plan. We talked about this a lot and how important this regional future land use map will be in guiding future development in the region, especially as it relates to Act 250. We finally presented a draft map to the Executive Finance Committee in March last week, and we'll be presenting to the full board next meeting. So that's where we'll really get into the nuts and bolts. All this is a prep in that we are going to be at the end of April meeting with every single town planning commission, select board, and commissioner, requesting a special select board meeting to go through these maps, and make sure that every town understands what they mean, and is going to have an opportunity to weigh in on those maps. Because Act 2081 is just so complex, we're actually going to be hosting, and this is after I even drafted this report for you all, we're going to be hosting 2 Act 181 training sessions on April 16th and 17th. So actually the day after our April board meeting on the 15th. These will be marketed over the next, by next week, and we'll be sending out materials that'll explain the process and the changes to Act 250, the changes to the future land use map, and changes to the designation program. So that'll be a really important one to get in front of everybody. They will be hybrid meetings. We're offering 2 nights to try to capture as many folks as we can. So more to come there. Our brownfields program is actually, for the first time in a long time, completing projects through the entire assessment phase, and we're looking to add projects. So if you know of development that is happening in your town, especially in areas that were former industrial sites, we have money to support that redevelopment. We still have close to $250,000 left in our federal award to promote assessments, but that's not all we can do. Actually, this money can be used for doing development concepts and plans with engineers to really kick it to the next level in redevelopment. So if you know of projects, especially that support business and housing, we want to support those. And with our new brownfields committee of the board, this would be the first time for them to actually meet and discuss. Next, you've heard me talk a lot about the VAPTA assessment. So in Act 181, the legislature mandated that all RPCs under VAPTA, which again, for those who don't know, the Vermont Association of Planning and Development Agencies, that is the sort of organizing umbrella for all RPCs. We were asked to hire a contractor to do a full assessment of the RPCs. I just wanted to spend a few minutes going through this. I did add a link. We have an executive summary that's much more palatable than the 80-page full report, but if you want to read it, please, by all means, have at it. So this report was completed by NATO, the National Association of Development Organizations. And in the statute for Act 2081, it spelled it out very clearly that we shall hire an independent contractor to study strategic opportunities for regional planning commissions to better serve towns in the state and seek to ensure regional planning commissions are statutorily enabled and strategically positioned to meet ongoing and emerging state needs, and really focus on a few key elements: governance, funding, programs, service delivery, equity, accountability, and staffing. So from this very ongoing, in-depth study in which I had a significant role as VAPTA chair, reviewing this and approving it, and I'll actually be testifying in front of the legislature over the next 2 weeks to discuss the results of this study. Here are the recommendations. I just wanted to boil them down, and these are organized by those key statutory elements that I just described. So for governance, this is recommending that we shift to a Council on Governments, or COG model. And that is an idea of sort of a regional government structure between full-on county government and what we have now. And it would be a board made up of select board chairs from every single town. And it would enable them statutorily to do more shared services and agreements, staffing, and funding. Right now, the legislature requires quite a few hoops for us to establish shared services. this is actually in study right now through the legislature to look at this model. So I don't expect this to happen soon, but it is sort of working through the paces in study. If not, shifting to a model, maximizing flexibility of formal membership for our governing board, which right now we do have alternates and designees already, but this would look at maybe increasing accountability directly with town select boards. And then maximize status of RPCs, COGs as political subdivisions. Again, regional planning commissions are already political subdivisions. This would look to codify that in law. For funding, it would really be looking at additional funding. They found that currently our funding level is really healthy, but with RPCs, the more funding we get, the more staff we get, the more service we provide. So it's a bit of a 1-to-1 ratio there. In terms of programs and service delivery, more feedback about performance at VAPTA, RPC, and planner staff level. That's really looking at more feedback directly from the state of Vermont and state agencies of which we implement their programs. Formalize existing strategic planning processes for VAPTA. This is really trying to establish more long-term 5 and 10-year strategies. A new thing, which is really important, is establishing a staff position at VAPTA. So right now, every director of every regional planning commission is part of VAPTA, and we all divvy up the work. But as you all know, there's more than enough work just here. Adding that on top is honestly unsustainable. And as chair, I can tell you, it is an insane amount of work. I think by giving us a staffer and us all supporting that position, we may be able to really advance things without taking away from each region. And then more RPC working groups and committee structure within VAPTA to really just try to maximize efficiencies and trainings and try to standardize RPCs a little bit more. With equity, it's really looking at existing frameworks, advancing RPC priorities, and more statewide approaches within RPC DEI practices, and trying to really make these much more front and center and universal across all RPCs, and trying to organize these more at the VAPTA level versus each of us doing these independently. I think if this study told us one thing, it is that RPCs exist really, really well in a regional context, but they exist much better as a state context, in that when we share resources and information and don't duplicate efforts and standardize approaches, we have a much better outcome. And then accountability, this one is just continuing doing what we're already doing. We have great trust with our municipalities within our region. It's true in other regions as well. Continue to build trust with state agencies. We're meeting continually with VTrans and DEC and BGS to really better understand what their needs are and try to enhance the service. Building capacity of municipalities. For me, this is probably the most important recommendation other than a staffer, and that is, how can we help towns build capacity? And I think a COG model could get to that point of making sure that in the Rutland region, we're not doing everything 27 times over. At the select board meetup, I was stunned by something Herb Childress said from Middletown Springs. And he said, Little Middletown, which has 900 or 1,000 people, they have 60 volunteers and appointments. You multiply that by 27 towns. Does every single town need to have a health inspector and a dog warden and a lister? It really begs the question, should we be looking at opportunities to really share more? So I think that's one of our strategies moving forward. Continuing to improve communications, always a great one. And then lastly, with staffing, building capacity within ourselves, right? Because the more staffing we have, the more we can provide that municipal staffing augmentation and really provide those services. So this is a really high level overview. Going through this executive summary, they dive in much deeper to each one of these areas for recommendation. And in the full report, they go even deeper and they talk about how they form these recommendations. And this study was so comprehensive because we did so much engagement. And actually, I'm really proud to say that the Rutland region had the highest level of survey responses from towns and the board. So thank you guys. That's huge. We're not the biggest region, so having that many people being willing to support the RPC and provide information was really, really great. So questions on this study? Certainly take a look. Happy to answer questions if you have them offline. But I'm really proud of the results and really excited about the strategic direction it will provide for RPCs across the state. Cool. So all of you had asked a few months ago about like, can we get more legislative interaction and maybe try to get the delegation here? So I'm going to try to make it my mission to get the delegation to come to our April 15th board meeting. I wanted to wait a bit because after crossover, which is this week, that's when bills really hit the ground running and we know what's going to make it through the end of the legislative session and what's not. So I feel like in April, the delegation will actually really be able to speak to the fidelity and legitimacy of certain bills moving forward. And there's some big ones on the table. So I think it would be really great for you all to hear directly from them about what's happening in the legislature. So I think a lot of the big bills could be really beneficial to the towns. Lastly, and certainly not least, to my disdain, CDS is back. So this is the congressionally directed spending or community project funding. Why I say disdain is it's great funding. And these are the earmarks from our Congress people. But when they send out the NOFO on these, they give you about a week or two to get your stuff together. And that is not enough time when you're asking for $1 million plus. So balance is already closed. I think that closed the 12th. I believe Welch and Sanders are the ones that are open next. Lyle, you might know this better than me. Are you aware of those timelines?
Trying to get off mute here. So Welch is coming right up. It may be as early as March 28th. I've not heard about Sanders.
Okay, thank you. That's the report. Questions, thoughts?
Just a comment. Don't discourage volunteers.
Oh, I'm not just sure. We need them. We survive on them, but
Yeah.
Is that a sustainable model? I don't know.
Well, you know,
Within 18
volunteers don't cost anything and it makes a lot of people involved. And you know, if you have, you know, some things probably could be combined, but don't discourage volunteers.
No way. I completely agree, Dick. And I hope I didn't come across that way. I'm
No.
more looking at the efficiencies, but without volunteers, we wouldn't have anything
Yeah.
in Rutland County or the state. So you all are aboard because of that fact. So yeah, thank you. Regional plan update,
Okay.
really
Yes,
quick.
next, regional plan update, Leona? No, briefly. Just, we had an act, 248.
Yes.
Oh, no, that's regional committee. We'll get to
I
that
was
one.
gonna say
Oh,
regional
regional
plan update
plan
is the other.
update.
Yep, this will be quick.
Got you confused.
She's ready to get out of here. She's looking down the agenda.
Oh, yeah, you.
So we are working on our draft. So it's actually, can't believe it, it's due Friday. This is task 3 rev 2. This was the second to last revision of our regional plan. There will be a task 3 rev 3. But essentially we have a week of review. In this review period, we're actually going to have the entire staff review the full plan. So for 2 hours a day for all 5 days of next week, we are meeting as a staff to review the full plan to try to really get it in alignment. And that we've been writing chapters independently, and hopefully now we'll have a lot more continuity an understanding of how one chapter impacts the other and how the policies interact. So our regional planning committee is also going to do a light review. So thank you for that. But the other big thing to note is our regional future land use engagement. Like I said, we'll be meeting with all towns from April to June. And then our big phase 3 engagement, which we're calling alignment, will happen in May and June. So that will likely have similar aspects of the last 2 phases, like pop-up events in your towns and maybe some public meetings. So more to come there.
Very good. Questions for Devin on that? Moving on is report from the Executive Finance Committee. I will report on that. Essentially, we kind of already heard about it. Kevin updated us on the regional plan. Just gave you the update, so we were happy about that. But there won't be a giant review from our committee needed again. So, but we will have happily participate. And then Logan Solomon presented a very thorough presentation on it when it the future land use map that is coming and that we'll learn much more about soon. That was pretty much the gist of the Executive Finance Committee. Next, now you're
my
on,
turn.
Leah.
Alrighty. We had a 60-day advance submission of an industrial tower in Tinmouth, Vermont. It was voiced that it is not in conformance with the town plan. The tower was proposed to be 173 feet tall. There were a lot of questions that came up during our discussion. So Devin is basically going to respond that we do have questions and need more information. So that was kind of tabled.
No, there was a recommendation. So there was a motion.
For you to write the letter.
Yep, that gets recommended to this board to vote on.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
yep, that's okay. It's always a weird interplay with the regional committee. So
Okay.
essentially, the motion was to authorize myself to write a letter on behalf of the Regional Planning Commission describing the ways in which it does not conform with the regional plan or town plan. And that was seconded by Pelkey. So we'd be looking for affirmative motion and vote from the full board.
All right, is there a motion to approve going ahead with the letter from that Devin will draft?
And just so folks know, this is a 60-day notice. It's not the actual application. It is the advance notice to apply, just so that's clear.
Essentially, we're looking for more information, correct?
Yes.
We've noted a few things, as Leon said, come already from the town and that we're not in compliance with the town's plan. So is there a motion to go ahead and send a letter?
Does Tinmouth support this?
No,
No.
no,
support the letter.
it's,
No, I didn't know if they supported the tower or not.
no,
Okay.
they're saying it's not in conformance with.
Judy,
the
do you
town
want
plan.
to, do you want to speak to that real quick?
So we had a meeting with Annette, I forget her last name, I'm
Smith.
with the select board on Thursday, and she recommended that we just go into whether the tower meets our plan or not. And unfortunately for the landowners and possibly the residents of Tinmouth, this tower does not meet our plan. So that will more than likely be our letter back to them.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I move that the Rutland Regional Planning Commission submit a letter about the new possible tower in Tinmouth Industrial Tower. Is
Thank
that what
you.
want?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
In opposition of it, I guess, or just a letter and,
Yep.
okay. You can
Good.
change my words,
Mhm.
however you want.
We've got it. I think we've got it. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Those names, you've got them. though.
Yep, Liz and Dick. Yeah.
Dick.
Liz, Dick, thanks. All in favor to, go ahead with the motion to send the letter? Aye. Any opposed? No? We're in favor. All right. Thank you, Leona.
There's one more.
We have one more. We have the resort parking project. We were asked to send a recommendation to some changes in the resort parking project up at Killington. And basically we were reminded that this project was supported way back in 2013. And the only reason it's coming up now is because between then and now, there was an expansion of existing wetlands that prompted a reorganization of how they were going to organize their parking. That's kind of it in a nutshell. Anybody have any questions?
Their engineer, Dan Heil from VHB, joined the call and he explained the sort of process. This was a land use permit, like Leona mentioned, from 2013 that the Regional Planning Commission did support with a conformance with the regional plan, no significant regional impact. He answered a bunch of questions. Sarah had asked about the incomplete letter, the timeline for construction, and the A&R wetland permits, which they had received. Their timeline is this spring and summer, and they have addressed the components of the incomplete letter.
So our committee voted to support this. Now, right, the vote would go out to you.
And that was a finding of conformance with the regional plan and no
letter
significant
from
regional
Devin.
impact.
So we need a motion for the letter to come from our RRPC to support the project.
I'll make a motion to send such a letter.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Dick.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Larry.
Thank you, Larry.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No.
What time doing
Set.
I was your
Dick was in 2013.
Oh, really?
I've seen this one.
Well, thank you. And congratulations.
Dick was our planner.
I work for Big Trans, and I'm all-
Okay, yeah.
Worked on a V-Trans project for 15 years.
Mhm.
The engineer cheered.
Sure.
I think you're all set, Lynn?
That was it.
The report?
Thank you.
Okay, and we're moving on to regional partners.
None present.
Okay.
But that
I
being
was gonna say,
That being said, we only have one regional partner right now. That's Pulteney Meadowy Natural Resources Conservation District.
Okay,
We would love to add more. These are at-large members essentially that represent like critical sectors or organizations. If folks have ideas or interest in helping recruit for that, we'd love to add members from places like solid waste or housing. Just throwing that out there.
That would be part of the regional committee or part of here or?
Full
just-
board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Full board.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. So are you talking like Mary Cohen and?
Mary's been on our board in the past several times, right? And there, we used to have a housing trust rep. We used to have a Ray Pack rep.
Library, Rutland Free Library. used to be-
Rutland Free Library. So yeah, we'd be open to expanding that list. I think rounding out just town representatives would be great. Lyle's our kind of sole ex officio right now, so.
seems like it would be great to have representatives from a variety of places, maybe not need to join every meeting, but to present to us on
You guys
new goings on or just for information?
yeah,
I'd like that.
I'm sick of the one time all the time.
Yeah, just leave this guy.
Yeah. So Jerome,
Good point. Put in the minutes, I hope. Okay. Moving on, ex officio members. Lyle, did you want to speak?
Sure, this is like the quickest meeting I've been to all day. Devin, you're firing on all cylinders here. All right. Very quickly, coming up on May 20th is an event that we're putting on called Bring Back the Trades, and we have about 800 high school students that are already signed up to come to Castleton University and meet up with people who are in the trades. I think we all recognize that when we make a phone call and we can't find someone to come and help us out at our house or someplace else, like a plumber or electrician, we need to really aggressively begin to market that these are careers that students can earn high pay and get high skills in. So we will be at Castleton University, May 20th. Everyone's invited. There will be an equipment rodeo there where we will not expect students to be running the equipment, but we hope that they will be on the equipment, taking pictures of themselves and so forth. Also continue to work with the mayor on the Downtown Plaza Task Force. This is a working group that will look at and is looking at what is the opportunity that is going to become available when Walmart chooses to go to Rutland Town. So that is an ongoing discussion. Also, there is a hotel task force that continues to push that project forward. And hopefully this month or next month that the Vermont Economic Progress Council will approve Rutland's TIF application, which will pave the way, we hope, for that hotel to be built. Don't think that the hotel project is starting if you see dirt coming out of the pit, because there is federal funding and brownfields funding through the state. Thank you very much, Rutland Regional Planning Commission, that will allow the pit to be cleaned up. It's a very expensive project to the tune of upwards of $5 million. And so thank you to the state, Rutland Regional Planning Commission, and the federal government who are helping to support that cleanup project that the Beldens will begin to undertake as early as June or July this year. Important piece of that, and the mayor will probably jump up and say, it's just the start, that the TIF will begin a process that will allow for the hotel to be built, but it will not be built unless the Rutland City voters approve a bond. And so it's just one step in a process to get the hotel built. There is a but-for component to all TIF projects, that but for the TIF, the hotel would not be built. And so part of that is getting the voters to approve a bond that will help with wastewater separation on Center Street and with new water lines on Center Street in Wales. So that is an ongoing project. It's moving forward expeditiously, and it looks like it will be successful. We're keeping our fingers crossed. And a special shout out to Rutland Regional Planning Commission for being in the feud. It was a great night at the Paramount Theater, 10 different teams. The Planning Commission did very, very well. The Mint Makerspace were the winners of that and took home a trophy. But what that event allows us to do is we raise money for our regional marketing initiative to bring more people here. And part of that is this weekend. We have a weekend getaway where we have 4 families who are coming to spend time with us here for 4 days. And they're coming to us from 2 families from Texas, one from New York City, and another from Washington, D.C. Not sure why they want to get out of Washington, D.C. There's some speculation as to why. And so we're excited that they're going to be coming to join us. They are bringing in tow several of their children, and we hope that they will find places to live here and come and join us. When we do a weekend getaway program, we have them meet with realtors. 2 of the families are going to Killington Elementary School to look at the school with the principal there. They also meet with potential employers. And so it's a pretty robust program. So that are just a couple of the things that are going on at the Chamber and Economic Development. And thank you for the time.
I have 2 questions. What was the program called about the families that are coming to tour the area? What's the name of that program?
It's called the Regional Marketing Initiative, and many of the towns, some of you represented in the room right now, support that project. It is mostly supported by business and industry because the goal of the program is to bring skilled employees to the region. And so we reached out, and part of the Weekend Getaway program was a social media campaign that got in front of 600,000 people. From those 600,000 people, 400 people put their names in a hat to have us pull their names out to come and visit us during the Weekend Getaway program. It's just one piece of a much broader campaign.
Great idea.
Yeah, and how many people has it brought? Several hundred, Lyle?
So I think since 2021, we had 235 people come through the program and move here. And those are just people we're aware of because certainly they don't need our permission to move here. So those were folks that worked with our concierge volunteers, of which there are 40, and they connect with people just like us who have lots of answers to questions like what are snow tires and what is fuel oil and those types of things that they're not familiar with when they come from Texas. So great program. It's working. People are moving here. We know that we are an aging county, and this is helping to counteract that. And we also have professional jobs open in many of our industries, and we need to fill those.
My second question is, where's the hotel being built?
In the pit.
In the
I
pit,
don't know if that is.
You know where Hop and Moose on Center Street?
Yes.
Right next to that, and that,
Oh,
parking.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I
that was a
Okay.
hotel that burnt down 52 years ago.
okay,
yeah.
That's neat.
And for 52 years, we've struggled with what do we do with that? And now we have a plan. A wonderful developer, the Belden Corporation. They're a local family, and they really want to make this project happen.
Maybe it should be called the Belton Hotel.
So, for commissioner updates, since we're kind of ahead of schedule, we haven't done this in, Larry's probably
I
like,
hate
don't, please don't. We haven't done this in like a year, and I think we should do it just once, and especially since we have new folks. Every month, historically, we used to go around the room and just give an update on your town. And since we haven't done that in a while and we have time, I would love for everyone to just pick one project, program, issue that your town select board or your planning commission is working on that you really want to highlight. Mainly just to bring broader awareness as to like, hey, Larry's working on this thing. Maybe I'll reach out to him because I'm also working on that thing. Before we do that though, I just want to make a reminder, and this is a friendly poke, but it is a poke nonetheless, that we did update our bylaws last year to require, so commissioners shall join one of the standing committees. Our committee attendance has been really, really low. So our standing committees are the regional committee. You heard about that tonight. That meets every month. They review Section 248 and Act 250 applications. The other one, our fine gentlemen here run the community committee. They review town plans and enhanced energy plans. They only meet as needed. And then finally, the brownfields committee, which only meets when we get new projects in. So I am not the chair, so there's nothing I can do to say you've got to come, but it would be great to see more faces, especially at the regional committee, because it is such an important committee reviewing these applications, and it really helps you better understand of what the development aspects and patterns are in the region. So hopefully we'll see some of you at those meetings. We always meet the hour before this meeting at 6 p.m. So if you have questions, please reach out. Would love to have more folks there.
Sounds good.
One question, when the community committee does not have anything going on, if we come to the regional committee, can we
Yes.
take part or we just
Yes, you
listen or we can
Yeah.
as commissioners?
Yeah, there's only a chair and a vice chair of committees. There's no forums and there's no membership. So we encourage everyone to try to, it's a weird bylaw. kind of nuance. But we encourage everyone to be here. And beyond that, the community committee can always meet for outside of town plan approvals too, and we could talk about that as to what that would look like. Cool.
All right.
Thanks for my spiel.
Thank you, Devin.
So should we do
I
this?
agree with you.
Yeah,
Um,
you're right there.
So shall we do the commissioner updates? Is that,
Yeah, do you want to use this to go down the list? Or should we just go around?
Yeah, because I'm gonna ask everyone their names again. I
Okay,
don't
perfect.
know. Takes me like, 4 meetings we have to do this.
Oh,
Should-
yeah.
Should we start, Larry? You can pass if you want. I know you hate this, or I hear, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not so much this one, it's the tackling that I scream about.
Mm,
I have to
yeah,
listen to
that
how
one
much
gets-
air pressure is in the front tire of the backhoe. How much
You have your
salt is
plow
left.
on, right? Yeah.
And
The last meeting, I said, I don't know how much salt's left in Mendon, nor do I care. Mendon, we did a scoping study recently. And then I think scheduling wise, Route 4 through Mendon is scheduled for repaving maybe around 2028. So at that time, hopefully we're on board and V-Trans will be doing some striping for us. They've also, the select board has gotten together with Rutland Town, and I think maybe Dr. Killington about talking to V-Trans about reducing the speed limit by 5 miles per hour. And the Mendon Planning Commission is working on rewriting zoning bylaws.
sounds good. Bob, what's new in Hubbardton?
Hubbardton, the natural, normal thing. Everything is quiet.
42 years running. Amazing. Amazing.
And in Pittsburgh, but your
Yeah.
name again?
And
Anne.
there's a lot happening in Pittsburgh. Our zoning is actually working, our planning commission is working on the enhanced energy plan. And then they have to quickly shift gears and do a whole lot before January 1st. They're gonna hate me by the
The
time we're.
town plan, zoning, and subdivision regs. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yikes. Roll 'em. Yeah, you're gonna be busy.
Yeah, and we've had a lot of internal restructuring in the last 2 months, so
Yeah.
game on.
Hey,
Oh, yeah.
exciting stuff. Dick, and remind me your town?
Proctor.
Proctor.
So with Pittsburgh, West Rutland and Proctor, I have heard we picked a trail location for the Tri-Town Trail System. I'm not sure where it is yet. I haven't seen a map or anything, but I have heard that the committee has picked a location to start contacting homeowners or property owners, whatnot, to put this trail in. So that's fun. And then we are working with or will be shortly with the regional commission to add subdivision regulations to our zoning bylaws.
Oh.
So that's where we're at in Proctor.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Looking forward to hearing more about the trail.
Yeah, me too.
And Drea, I've heard that once already, 3 more times. What town?
Danby.
Danby.
We're fairly quiet. One of the things that came up at our last select board meeting was the conversation about the conflict of interest policy versus the ethics policies that are coming up.
Yeah.
So, it went back and forth because they were under the understanding that they were supposed to, like, our conflict of interest policy was voided from what the state had said, and then they were presenting an ethics policy, and some of the public had questions about that. So they tabled it, and they're gonna kind of dig further into it and reevaluate in April or March, right? In April. And then, our planning commission hasn't met yet this year, but we will be meeting in April, and we are gonna start delving into our town plan, even though we're not up until 28, I believe.
Mhm.
But just, to really, because we have a couple of new members, and just really start digging into it.
Right. Right.
Thoughts?
Good idea. Get going on that.
Liz.
Castleton.
So I think you said just share one little thing. So I'm not gonna share about town plan or about zoning regulations. What I'd like to share is 5 years ago in Castleton, a private company came in and bought a piece of land from the town and wanted to build this 99 unit, independent memory care and assisted living building, which most people in the town seem to want. So, but it has been tied up for all that time and it is now in environmental court. So what I'd like to share is that make sure your zoning regulations or your UDR or whatever you have at this point, your developmental regulations, make sure if you look at your town when you're in your planning commission meetings, if you think about some dream businesses, that's sometimes what we talk about that you don't have in your town, where would it go? Would it be able to be there? If I want to move in and make this, you know, can I put it anywhere? Because if there's nowhere to put it, then people can't buy your land in your town and build these things. That's it.
We're desperate
Good way to
for
put it.
capacity in
Yeah.
that realm.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have had people come and die already. I'm not even kidding. Tons of people that
Right.
would have wanted to be in there that have already actually died without, there's nowhere to go for people in Castleton. You have to go to Rutland. So.
Jack,
So things are pretty quiet in Brandon, but on town meeting day, my wife said she was too busy to vote. I finally convinced her to vote. The school budget passed by one vote.
Oh my God.
I recounted 3
Oh,
times.
yeah. That's great.
Same
You
number.
was the
We
difference
recounted, it was
maker.
only 26. We got to count.
That's incredible.
wow,
That's interesting.
So your votes should
Funny,
count.
huh?
Thank you.
Definitely.
absolutely.
That's great.
Leona,
West Rutland's pretty quiet. Probably the most exciting, one thing that's going before the select board is approving, a new volunteer on the planning commission, which is a wonderful thing. Other than that, it's been quiet. You know,
that can be good.
our building
You have a
project
great
is
building
going up.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everyone's
of
excited.
course, they're always trying to get a developer to do something out behind the, mini mall, but that's ongoing talk, so.
You won a basketball tournament.
Yes, that's true, that's true.
There you go.
Select board didn't have to approve that,
Oh,
though.
that's true. That's true. I'll bet they were there cheering though.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Our high school were state champions too. Girls basketball.
That's right.
Oh, congratulations.
Very good. We all share. Hubbardton, who else is here? Benson, you know, West Haven. Who am I forgetting? Okay, someone.
Well, Shrewsbury, quiet. I'm gonna echo you guys with congratulations having new members on your planning commission and yours. And I have to say, I thought I had a wonderful new member on my planning commission, and she just had kids in sports things and had to step back down again. And speaking of volunteers, it's really frustrating to not have enough volunteers. So we're struggling with that in town. Otherwise, I can only think of that our town is, well, we do have a new road commissioner. That's terrific, but our longtime commissioner, where Jamie has stepped down. He's been on the town for a long, long time. And I think he started when he was 11 or 12, because his dad did it and his granddad did it.
90-something
So,
years
it's
of
been a long
career road
family.
commissioners.
Career road commissioners, but we have a terrific guy who's taken it on all the responsibility. And it reminds me, I'm on an email newsletter. It's actually from Thetford. It's called Side Note, if you ever want to. They often have really interesting articles about towns. It's a good writer, and she writes about their need to buy a new town truck and the expense and the cost of all the wheels and I'm happy to forward it on, but it's a
Yeah,
nice
send it
little
to me.
newsletter. And I'll keep going. Do you?
Sure, we're from Chittenden, and I would say the hot topic on our planning commission is short-term rentals. We had Barbara Noyes Pulling from Rutland Town come and speak to us about how Rutland Town implemented the short-term rental program. And I think Chittenden is really leaning towards that because we have Mountaintop, and we have outside of Mountaintop, we have almost 25 short-term rentals that are not being regulated in town, and that's eliminating the possibility for other families to come. And Barstow has declining enrollment, and that's really an issue. So we're trying to mitigate that with the short-term rental program.
Yeah, we're also looking at ways that the reservoir and Leopard's Pond are utilized. Last year, we sponsored a program through the state on invasive species. So there was an educational component, and then people went out on kayaks and looked for samples. We're also investigating a program called a greeter program. And I think we may do a modified version of that, at least for this next year, where the select board will go out as volunteers and meet with people and encourage them to behave appropriately and safely, hand out garbage bags when we need to, and just be there, be good communicators in terms of how we would like to see the area respected, the different uses between the boat landing and swimming and, you know, a lot of other things that are happening there. So.
Okay, shall we keep going? What time is it? Online?
Yep, let's go with Barbara.
Okay, I represent Sudbury, which only has about 560 people. And most of them skew older and have been here a long time. But we have had a sort of recent, I guess it's COVID period, infusion of what I would call young people in their 50s. And several of them, couples, have gotten interested in our trail committee, which was pretty active, but not as active as it has become. So we actually now have a goal. We have a number of people who open up their property to hikers, but we didn't have much of a trail because there would be property in between where people didn't allow. But we've been working on that, or the trail committee has been working on that. And I think we're going to be able to have a trail. I don't know if anybody is familiar with this area, but from Fiddle Hill Road all the way, a pretty long trail that would be completely connected through private property that would end at Huff Pond Road, end at Huff Pond. So it would be a nice trail. And the committee's got a day of working in April, and they're going to be hoping to do that and more trails. One of our members, who's been around for quite a long time, but he's gotten rejuvenated by these younger people, and he went to the state meeting. The state had a meeting for towns and town trail committees and came back and spread the news among the committee. So that's kind of exciting. And then the other piece that's new is we elected a new select board member last year. It's a woman, Shannon Bryant. She's originally from Vermont, left for many, many years. She's young too, and came back. And she lives on Lake Hortonio. It is the first woman that Sudbury has had on the select board since we were founded in 1763. So, and she too has sort of come with new ideas. She lives on Lake Hortonia, which was her original connection. And that's part Hubbardton and part Sudbury. And with her help and enthusiasm, we've had a couple of, you'd almost call them social events, that were open to Hubbardton and Sudbury, or really anybody else driving up Route 30. And had a dinner, a potluck dinner, and a speaker, and then also had a tour of the old farmhouse that's right next to the church, which is our meeting house, which was purchased by someone who was going to run a farm. He opened it up for everybody to go through it. And then he decided to sell it. So our new select board member, Shannon is very interested in trying to bring some sort of development. We have nothing. We have a ice cream stand on Route 30 that also has sells bait in the summertime. And other than what people do out of their homes, we don't really have anything else. The nursery was closed. I'm trying to think if there's really anything else. But this new select board would really like to do some sort of housing development. She's would love to have something, even has talked about trying to find a way of purchasing this home, making it into housing for older people. And she and other people, I have not taken part in this, so I can't give details, but they've worked with people from the state who actually came and helped them with the project, and they competed to get money, and they did not get the money, but it kind of fired them up for doing something in the way of housing development and also just community development in Sudbury and between Sudbury and Hubbardton. So I'm going to be sure that she goes to that meetup in Castleton, because I think she'd appreciate meeting select board members from other towns. So that's the report from Sudbury.
Thanks.
Great.
And one add-on for Barbara, the area she's describing may be one of our newest designated villages. We're working on with Shannon and the team in the state of Vermont to get that designated. So that will unlock a lot of benefits for the town with historic preservation. So
great,
really,
that's wonderful.
Sudbury. Yeah.
Great. Jessica, want to?
Yeah.
From Mount Holly.
Yeah, sure. So maybe I'll keep it short and sweet, and I'll just pick something that I'm excited about. So our town, I think specifically our Conservation Commission's been working on an application for an AARP grant. We're hoping to build a little playground at the Star Lake Beach that we've got. So I'm personally excited about that because I live right down the road and I have a baby on the way in a couple of months. So I'm hoping that comes through. So that's
Hey, congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Sounds good. Next, Judy from Tinmouth.
So at our last select board meeting, we opened 3 bids for a new plow truck and had a little bit of sticker shock. Looking at $200,000, and our trade-in, which is 7 years old, is only worth between $30,000 to $60,000. So that was a bit disappointing that something not that old depreciated that quickly. So FYI, if you're looking for a snow plow truck, yeah, it's a little bit of a shock.
Sorry to hear it, but it sounds like a familiar story. Mike Dungus, our mayor.
Hello, Lyle stole most of our exciting thunder when he was talking about the hotel and the TIF district and all that stuff. However, we are still, and it's been my entire time as mayor, and I think maybe the entire time I was on the Board of Aldermen, which totals 4 years, working on our rezoning. It is a big undertaking, and we had some changes along the way from the state level, and our planning commission is doing a phenomenal job digging into that. But we, with Ed Bove as our planning and zoning administrator, we're taking a deep look at how to review that and keep it as simple and clean as possible. So while there are many fun things happening, the hard work is being done as well. So there you go.
Thank you, Mike. Sarah.
So Pulteney, there hasn't been a lot of change on Pulteney's boards for town meetings. So that was one interesting thing, that all of our boards and commissions were exactly the same as they were previously. And the planning commission was busy at the end of last year. They adopted new regulations for the bylaw modernization. And they are currently doing some studies around food trucks. Pulteney's starting to have more food trucks in the community, and some pros and cons that come with that. So the Planning Commission is surveying the community about that. And then I think in my wheelhouse and development, the thing I'm most excited about right now, the town is studying the site of the town highway garage for two different purposes at the same time, for reconstructing either the highway garage, which needs to be rebuilt very badly, or reusing the site for a potential outdoor recreation hub. So we have a grant for that work to develop design concepts for an outdoor recreation hub on that site. And we just selected our contractor last week. So we're excited to kick that off.
Good. Will.
Yeah, hello everybody. As always, we are extremely busy in Killington, as I'm sure everybody knows. However, in other news, the Planning Commission is actually hosting a public hearing tomorrow to review some of our proposed subdivision regulations that we've been working on for quite some time now. It's been a very long process to get here, but we are finally here. If anybody wants any more information on any of that, there's a lot of information on our website. If anybody would like to join the meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m., there's a lot of information. Please check it out.
Very good. And Heather from Wells. Heather, did you want to bring something up? Give us an update. What's of anything going on in Wells? And if you're talking, you're muted.
Well, I can answer for, they are about to go to hearing for their town plan update, which is a big effort for Wells.
Okay.
Wow,
I think
we
that's
did
everybody.
it. Amazing.
Yeah, and
Thank
it's
you
only
for
8:10.
appeasing me.
Never again.
And we're early. It's 9:15. Amazing. All right, 5 more minutes. Who's going next? No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I think that's it. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
What I should mention about John.
Oh,
my
yeah,
goodness.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you, Larry.
really sad news. Our longtime commissioner from Pollitt, John Sabaka, passed away. His services are this Friday, I believe. He had an obituary in the paper. It seemed like it was a very sudden happenstance for him. He was one of the sweetest, most energetic commissioners we've had, and we will deeply miss John from Pollitt. So, yeah, the RPC, I'm going to try to attend the service, and we sent some flowers on behalf of the RPC. So thank you for that, Larry.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Thank you, Larry. Is there a second? Second. Thank you, Leona.
Was that too fast?
That was pretty quick. All in favor? I think we don't have to vote in favor.
No,
to
no.
adjourn.
It's just
Stay.
thanks, folks. Great to see you. Have a good night.
That's a good meeting.
That was great.
Yeah, very good.
What do you do for insurance?
I work with Dave Kraus. I test material in the field.
Yes, that's it
Yeah.
for sure. So you must know Judy then.
I do.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
He's full sugar man right now.
I know. I see him driving around all over the place.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So,
Both are up.
in highway or operations?
Yeah, in highway. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I work in materials, that's my section, and I check all the roadways and bridges.
Tonight?
In the southern portion of the
Okay,
state.
yeah, we're in. Some,
Sign.
yeah, I just got some new bridge reports from towns. They're like, this is so